and tonight we are racing the Chop C grade by AHDR around Innsbruckring, which is an 8.8 kilometer route. We'll be doing 3 laps, 72-meter elevation, and a very short lead-in of about 200 meters. Now, the Innsbruckring has the leg snapper, which is a 450-meter climb at about 7%, which is going to be tricky. We'll look at the sign-ups tonight. We've got a few B grade riders who really shouldn't probably be in C grade. But there's our top sort of 10 there, and sorting by the 15-second power, I'm sitting around about 6th spot there. So we're at the 5-minute mark in the pens there. Just waiting. So I did my last Chop race about 2 weeks ago. That one involved 5 laps around the London Classic course, and it came in 15th there out of 21 on Swift Power. So I'm hoping for a better result tonight. We've got similar numbers. This is a slightly longer race by about 4 kilometers, but it has a lot more elevation than the London course does. Now, for me, that's always a tricky thing because the climbing is what gets me in a race. I'm not very good at it. Now, I can climb okay, but not under race conditions. And the leg snapper is certainly a, well, let's say a challenging little pinch. We see the D grade riders have just headed out. We've got just over 3.5 minutes. So tonight we're back in the race appointed kit, which is the hot pink and blue, and I'm on my blue Tron bike with my orange cap. So far we've got 45 riders ready to go, and it's going to be interesting to see how we go with a few B grade riders slipping into C grade here. That's going to be, yep, something to watch out for. Now, as with the Chop, it's a chase format. So D grade heads out first, followed by C, then B, then A. And the challenge of each group is to stay ahead of the group chasing you and try and catch up to the group in front of you. So we'll be looking to try and chase down the D group, and B and A will be looking to try and chase down us. All right, 2 minutes to go. There I am. So I raced on Monday in 3 hours sand and sequoias. So 1 lap of that route with the 173 meters of climbing. It was only 20 Ks. And look, did okay. Came in on Swift Power, came in second out of, gosh, how many was it now? Look, out of 7 registered on Swift Power. Fans on. We're under a minute. 55 riders. So this is 3 laps of Innsbruckring. All right, 5 seconds. Power ramp up. And we're out. So the same as the last chop race I was in. Not massive power coming out of the pens, but just enough to get into the front group. Now my strategy here is to hang on to the front group up until that first climb and then see how we go. Now, I'm not too sure how those B grade riders are going to handle in C group, and they could just blow it apart, or they might be looking for an easier ride and not too concerned about trying to rip the group up. Okay, so we've got our front group forming there. Sort of that 3.13 watts per kilo, so not fantastically outrageous. And we can already see a few people using their power-ups. I don't know why they use them so quickly. I certainly wouldn't be using a power-up at this stage, not that I've got one to use. Okay, so the C group's already broken up into 2 groups, actually 3 groups really, with a few off the back. So much like with the other races, trying to stay in the front or towards the front of the front group without spending any time on the front or too much time on the front is the goal here. There's lots of riders, everyone can take a short turn. There's no need for hero turns in the front. So this section of the route is predominantly flat. So it's a good one for everyone to sort of find a bit of rhythm. Heart rate's at 167. I'll be pretty happy if I can keep it under 170. So what I was saying earlier was that when I'm looking down like that, what I'm watching is a live feed through Swift Power of the race, so I can see who's leading, where we're all positioned on the route, as well as the average power output of each of the riders, their 20-minute, 15-second, 5-minute breakdowns, that type of thing. Now, there's a few riders in here that have got pretty impressive numbers, so I'll be happy if I can claim a top 10 position in this race. Now, I'm not too sure if we've got a bit of a gap forming in our group here, or we've got some numbers coming off the back. Just looking at the map. we might reform as we come up to one of the small little inclines. Yeah, look, coming together again now there. So now this is the bridge. This is a slight little climb up of about 2%. Nothing too big, but might play a bit of a part in the last lap when everyone's a bit cooked. So there's a small decline. Get a chance to rest for a few moments. Coming up before we hit the right-hander. And you can see that coming off the juice there. So we've, on the histogram at the bottom of the screen there, we're dipped back down to greens and blues. But I know that climb is coming up. I think it's about the 5.5 kilometer mark. So we've got probably a bit over a kilometer and a half. Is that Paul Davis? Already commenting how that hill's going to hurt. So we're all still sitting around that 3 watts per kilo power mark. Yeah, and Paul's already saying he's suffering. All right, into the, I guess, the central business district section of the route, onto the cobbles. And look, once you hit the cobbles, you know that the leg snapper is just up around the corner. Alright, coming up to it. So I want to push up to the front. I don't want to be at the back of this. I want to make sure that I don't want to be getting held up with other riders slowing down on the climb. And I want to be at the front because I know that I'm probably not going to smash this. Alright, so the climb starts about here. And it's up on the pedals. So 400. Mid to low 400s. Now I normally do ride this climb entirely on the pedals, but don't know, maybe not feeling the best tonight. But yeah, sort of sat down about halfway, and you can see the line in the map there is really stretched out now. I know we're going to drop a few riders in this climb. So the top of it's just up in the corner here, but I can see that group is just already, that front group's already sort of moving away there. Now the trick with this is to keep pushing and not to stop after you get over the climb. At least you get to that second little crosswalk. And then you can, if you're up for it, you can take your foot off the pedal, like you stop pedaling, and hopefully get into a super tuck. There we go. Get some a few deep breaths in. Try and get a bit of recovery, especially if you can form a bit of a group like we have here. And there's one more little kick just here. before we turn into that right-hander, and then again there's another little descent, and I was more than happy to try and coast down here, get back into the super tuck, sit with these guys. And see, that's the incredible thing, like you can do the super tuck, they're all pedaling and putting power in, and in the super tuck you can just go straight through them. Now we can see the front group up ahead, and I was wondering, and we're sort of gaining on them a little bit, and I was wondering whether we could try and catch them. But then I remembered there's probably a bunch of B grade riders in that mix, and right now I think trying to burn matches catching up to them wouldn't be a good idea. So even though they're only a few 100 meters up the road there, I'm going to let them go. So we've got a little bit of a group forming here, about 5 or 6 riders. Go onto the bridge, and no power-ups. So this is like the last chop ride I was in. I didn't get a power-up until I think the 3rd lap. So I wonder if this is going to be the same. Coming up to the hairpin. Hoping for this group to reform again so that we've got a little bit of drafting going on. There we go. And I'm already shaking my head thinking, oh no, this is tough work. Now I can see Turton's behind me. I think he wanted to get past and I blocked him a little bit, which, well, that just happens. But I think he was keen to move on, but maybe finding it hard to find the power to do it. There he goes, pushes past now. But I think it's a bit late for him to try and catch that group ahead. So for the moment, it is just me here in 17th spot. So back in the power, back down to about, well, where are we? About 3 watts per kilo. Coming up on the first D grade riders. I can see Turton up ahead just there. I think he was trying to get onto the group ahead, but that hasn't worked out. And that's the thing, trying to shut down gaps like that, big gaps like that, can just blow your head off. And then use the momentum of that group to move up. Hands on the hips, trying to recover a little bit. And we're coming up to the end of the first lap. Now I kind of knew, hang on, do we get a power up? Oh, aero. Well, that's going to help a little bit. So I kind of knew that I wouldn't be in contention for this race. Only because of the climbing and, well, really this is maybe the 5th race I've done, 5th C grade race. Yeah, 5th race. So I'm certainly not setting any PRs at the moment. And we've got, looks like we've got a few riders coming up behind me, a few C-grade riders. Turton's on the front there. I think we've formed a bit of a group. And so often I see lots of riders try and smash out, get off the front, smash out big rides or go off the front of the group, when really it's easier to sit back. So Turton would have burnt some matches trying to catch that group ahead, and he's back to where he started. And so a lot of racing is just trying to do the smart thing. So heart rate still just on that 170, 168, 169 mark. That group at the back behind us seem to be Thornton and Hodder. Don't seem to be picking this up. We were a bit closer before. And we can see that group that broke off in front there, they're now what, about 30 seconds ahead of us. So I think Taunton is happy to sit in for a little bit, have a bit of a rest there. That's what I'd be doing too. Alright, so we've got those guys behind us, they're about 3 seconds. A small dip in the road here before we come up to the bridge. And those guys are just on us now. There we go, they come past. There's actually a slightly bigger group than I thought. So I'm definitely going to hold on to these guys. A couple of D-grade riders up ahead. Just a couple of extra kicks there, just in case you get stuck behind them. So you want to push past those slower riders and do it quickly. So on the bridge, almost over that. And we'll come down to the right-hander. So this is good. There's what, about 8 or 9 of us there. And ideally we want to work together here. Alright, passing on another D grade rider coming up. Back through the little CBD. Now steering is something that you might be wondering how that works. At the moment I don't have any steering mechanism, so Swift handles the steering around corners and in the group. So you'll see us sometimes push out to the left and then come back in. That's Swift handling all of that. Sometimes it's painful, like you don't want to be out there by yourself, but then you'll come across and you'll come back in with the group there. So it's just a matter of, you know, just putting your head down and not worrying about it. We've got a group of about 4 or 5 D grade riders up ahead of us, just coming up to this corner. And again, like before, we want to put a little bit of power down and make sure that we clear them pretty quickly. You don't want to get stuck behind them, especially coming up to a bit of a climb. All right, so the second leg snapper out of 3. Up on the pedals. No featherweight power up, unfortunately. Could have really used one here. And most of everyone else used theirs too soon, so it didn't really matter too much, I guess. So 8%. Is it about 4.7 watts per kilo? I'm just not holding it. Yeah. I've got to do more racing up hills. I've just not been able to hold that kind of a power for too long. Around those D grade riders. Just making sure that I'm still in touch with this front group. I really don't want to lose them. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Over the first crosswalk. Keep pushing to the second. Alright. Come off the power. And go into super tuck. So the super tuck is an automatic thing as well. Once you hit, I think it's at over 5 or 6% decline, and somewhere over, I think it's over 50 kilometers an hour, your rider will automatically go into the super tuck position. So you've got to come off the pedal, stop pedaling, and you'll coast down, you'll jump into that super tuck, and you'll flick through and go past lots of other riders who are going down the same segment and they're pedaling. So you can see now that I'm at the front. Got a D grade rider in front of us there. Group's a little bit strung out. Bang, back in a super tuck position again. And it's really interesting that other riders aren't doing it. Yeah, I was surprised by that. And we've got this D grade rider here that hangs on for a little bit, I think, which was a pretty good show. So the group's coming back together. And we're picking up another, another C grade rider who had been smashing it at the front. So this is the sprint section. But like in any of these races, I don't worry about the sprints. you don't get anything for it. All right, power up time. What have we got? Nothing. So I've had one power up so far. Awesome. Now we see a few of the other riders there all registering PRs. So they're obviously doing a faster lap this second lap, faster sprint section this second lap than the first. So we've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us there. Roughly speaking. So this is the big straight flat section. We're under the 10k mark now. One more lap and we are done. Heart rate's come down a little bit, which is good. Trying to have a bit of a rest here in this back section of the course. Even have time for a sneaky drink. I've got one of our boys here who's trying to convince us to take some turns in the front, and I don't see there's not a lot of guys putting their hands up. I'll get a few more races under my belt, and I'll be happy to take turns in the front, but right at the moment, that's a big no from me. We're kind of stringing out a little bit here. Pushing a bit just to get back onto these guys and hopefully reform our group, because we've sort of strung out a bit now. All right, power up time. What have we got? Oh, nothing again. Excellent. Obviously, haven't been making enough sacrifices to the power up gods. And see, this is the thing I don't understand. When you're riding like this, you've got sort of 3 C grade riders at the front of us. None of them riding together. You've got a couple of D grades sort of in that mix. They should really be pulling back, letting the group reform, and then we can push harder. So we picked up one of the guys. Almost. Almost on them. There we go, bridge that gap. And I think we've dropped a couple of guys behind us. Not ideal, but anyway, what can you do? There's only 7.5k to go. Oh, let me get my head again. Trying to put a bit of power down here. Just to get back onto this group. Boom. Good work. And then we've got a nice small group ahead of us here. And I think we've got the B grade group is coming up behind us. Can't see them just yet on the map, but I don't think they're too far away. Right over the bridge, right-hander. Trying to get a little bit of a recovery session. Yeah, you can just see the green group there on the map, just about to hit the right-hander. F is still good. 168 BPM. Gosh, though, it felt a lot harder in the race. And we're making grounds on that group ahead of us, which is good. And there we go, pick him up. Excellent. We've got a few D grade riders sort of sitting in on us. So Orozveri is on the front. He was the one that was calling for others to take turns. So he's actually pulled some pretty big turns. Pretty impressive numbers. With a 3.6, 3.7 watts per kilo. And you can see there that the D grade riders have said no, they're off the back there. B grade's getting closer. Just on 5.5 kilometers left. Coming back through the town again. Big race just behind us. Five K's left. All right, here they come. Now I was looking at this and I thought, oh, is there a chance that to holding on to them might be a good idea? And I came to the quick conclusion that it wasn't going to be. We're going to burn a whole bunch of matches trying to hang on to these guys. The smarter idea I felt was to let them go through, and whoever wanted to go with them, let them go. But there'd be a good, 4 or 5 guys here that would be happy to sit in our group and just keep, working away. And it turns out that's exactly what happened. So onto the cobbles. We can see there's about 3 or 4 of the C grade riders that stuck with the B grade. They're going to hit that leg snapper and just get smashed. And you'll see them come off the back of that group pretty quickly. in that little right-hander. Last crack at the leg snapper. Now this last one, I thought I might just sit in on this and get halfway up and then stand. See if that gives me a better result. Yeah, no, feather for me. Featherweight for me, that's for sure. So pushing and pulling on the pedals. Yeah, and then you can see on the map there, see those the C grade riders have all been dropped. You've put a whole bunch of effort in for not much return. Now this 30 sign here is about halfway. All right, up on the pedals. Still not putting big numbers in here now. But I just want to catch these guys as we get to the crest of the climb. Make sure I'm sitting with them as we go past. Now I noticed this D grade rider got in front of me here and went, oh crap. And exactly what's happened has happened. I've sort of locked in behind him. And those other riders are riding off. Bugger. It's not what I wanted. Into the super tuck. Let's see how we go. 62, 63 k's an hour. If we push past him, there we go. Put some power down. Yeah, catching them back up again now. Final kick, 6%. I'm going to come around that right-hander. Push, 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 push. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And come off the gas. There we go, into the super tuck. And I wasn't too sure whether I was going to catch them or not here. So putting in some watts here, 400, 350, getting back on. Almost there. And back on. Yeah, so I've got some red section there in the power graph at the bottom. I'll try and recover here a little bit. 2 kilometers to go. Alright, heading for a drafting boost. Power up. Do we get anything? Ah, the featherweight. Awesome. Could have really used that in the last 3 climbs. Thanks very much. Really all the featherweight does is just make you lighter and obviously makes climbing a little bit easier. Doesn't really do much for you on the flat, so it's like, oh, well, there you go. Okay, got 1.5 k's to go. And you can see on the map there, we've got those red dots, they're the A grade riders. So they are breathing down our necks. We're still doing okay though. We're still sort of pushing 41, 42 k's an hour here. 3 watts per kilo. And we're just coming up to the 1k mark now. See now, if I'd had a drafting boost power up, I would have waited for the A grade riders to come in and then used it. Using it now, I don't think would have been a good idea. Now, I've used my featherweight because, well, a 1%, sort of false plate. So where else am I going to use it? All right, A grade riders are on us. I'll be coming past in a second. Here they come. And they're really motoring like, what's that, 4 or 5 watts per kilo. So they break the grip apart a little bit. All right, 500 meters. Yeah, sitting there with 4 guys in front of me. I've got really nothing left in the legs there. I can just feel it. Yep, stand up. Do something, try and bring it home. So get past TE. Try and get past one more. Get past Blocky. And that's it. Whew. So I think I came up 16th here in Swift, but on Swift Power, finished in 7th spot. So it's a better result than the last chop ride. It's all about progress, not perfection. So you can see there, first three riders to the fastest time is C grade rider. So how does that work? Looking down, you can see me sitting there. There we are. So by C grade, sitting at 7th. Yeah, so those guys on the front there were just pushing. They shouldn't have been in C grade, but anyway, what can you do? Always next week. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next race. Cheers.